that gap between how much you're doing and how little of it is seen, that's where resentment is born. That right there, that is the birthplace of resentment. We're the kind of people who see things that need to be done, and then we just take care of them. And then if we're honest, sometimes we get a little frustrated about the fact that we're always the one taking care of everything. Some of us want acknowledgement. We want somebody to say, I see you. I see how much you're doing. I'm really grateful for it. We're making the invisible list. We're the only one who knows it exists, and we get to decide whether we keep it invisible or whether we finally let someone else see it. This is episode 450 of the Brilliant Balance podcast. They're not oblivious. The system just lives in your head. Hey, welcome back to the show. Today, we are talking about something that I think is one of the most quietly exhausting things maybe about being the kind of person who listens to this show, which is the amount of stuff that you are holding in your head at any given moment that nobody else even knows is there. It's not just the to-do list, although I think the to-do list is never ending. And honestly, it's probably not just the work stuff, but I'm talking about that invisible operating system that runs like under the surface of your whole life. And that you are, in all likelihood, the only one running. So let's get into it today because I think this is really important. And I'm going to open this episode with a story about a party that I was hosting a few weeks ago. So I was getting ready for this party and I found myself doing the things that I've done like 100 times, right? I walked the house like a contractor walks a job site before an inspection. And I am moving through each room and I have a checklist running in my head, just kind of ticking off things that need to be handled. This is a list I did not write down. Nobody asked me to compile it. It's just, I can't not see the things that need to be done, right? Like the tablecloths that I ordered, where did those go, right? The gravel that got kicked onto the front walk from the pavers, like I need to sweep that before the guests get here. The trim around the front door is looking a little dingy. Do I have time to touch that up? Where is that balloon arch going to go? How are we going to get directional signs for where people need to be when they're arriving? Nobody asked me to notice the trim. Nobody assigned me like, hey, you probably need to think about, are there things that need to be done here? The inventory list that I'm running is entirely self-generated. But there I am, and I'm like walking around our house at like 7 a.m, being the general contractor for this event that is supposed to be a fun thing. And here's the thing. I love hosting. Like if you knew me in real life, you would know I genuinely do. It's one of my greatest passions. It's something I'm good at. Like I love having people over. But in that moment, when we are a couple of days out for an event and I am starting to accumulate this list of things that still need to be handled, what I am feeling in that moment is not joy. I am not in any kind of gift. I am in a low grade pressure cooker. And I can't really name it because I know it's self-inflicted and it's all coming from this list that exists only in my head. And no one around me seems to have any perspective or awareness or context that this list is growing, that I'm making it, that I am feeling pressured by it. They're just happily going on about their day, pleasantly anticipating this event that we are going to host. Okay. The party is just one example, unfortunately. This doesn't only happen at parties, although I think in our household, everyone who lives with me would tell you it's probably the worst case scenario, right? Getting ready to have people over to host guests. It's not a great time to be around me in those couple of days leading up to it because that list is running on overdrive and they can feel it, but they can't get out ahead of it, right? But that same list is running even when I'm not hosting a party. It's the physicals that need to happen before fall sports start, right? It's the camp deadlines that kind of show up in my awareness like 6 weeks before they show up anywhere else. The paperwork for getting a parking pass for next year at the high school, that the dorm room supplies that we're going to need in August that I haven't bought yet, but I've definitely already thought about, right? None of this is on a shared calendar. None of it has been assigned to me. It just lives in my head, and it uses up space, and it uses up energy, and it uses up bandwidth around the clock. And if this resonates with you, and I am guessing that it does, then you are exactly who I want to talk to today. And what I want to say first, and I want to say this very plainly, is the people in your life that are frustrating you in these moments when this list is on overdrive, they are not ignoring the things that need to happen out of, I don't know, laziness, right? It's not that they don't care. They just don't see what they can't see. And what they can't see is your mental list because it doesn't exist anywhere except in your head. The whole system lives in your head. The whole system lives in my head because no one taught us to do it any different, right? We just comes with the territory. We're the kind of people who see things that need to be done, and then we just take care of them. And then if we're honest, sometimes we get a little frustrated about the fact that we're always the one taking care of everything. So what I want to really sit with, because I think it's the part that actually hurts the most in this, is that it's not just that you're tired. It's that you're tired and nobody knows why. Right? You're carrying this enormous, invisible load. And from the outside, it is undetectable. You just look like someone moving through life, right? The house is running, the appointments are getting made, the forms are getting turned in, the kids are showing up where they need to be with what they need to have. And to everyone around you, it just happens like magic, right? Like it requires no one to do anything. But that gap between how much you're doing and how little of it is seen, that's where resentment is born. That right there, that is the birthplace of resentment. And I have talked to so many women who feel this the same way. And the words that come up over and over again are just some version of this. And we all say this slightly different ways because we have different personalities. But it's some version of, I just want somebody to notice, right? I want someone to say, thank you. I want to feel like what I'm doing matters and that someone knows I'm doing it and they recognize it and they honor it, right? And look, we don't feel this way because we're needy or we're demanding. We feel this way because we're human, because everybody wants to feel seen. And when a huge piece of what you are doing is invisible, all anybody sees are the outcomes. They don't see the planning and the thinking ahead and the effort and the sequencing, right? And the scheduling that has to happen. They just see the outcome. Then it doesn't always feel like we're being seen, right? At least not for me. And here's the thing that I think is it's both maddening and once you see it, it's actually useful, is a lot of that invisibility isn't intentional, right? It's not intentional. We're not intentionally keeping it all secret. And it's not also that the people in our life are looking at all this stuff we're doing and thinking, don't give her any credit for it, right? Make sure you just silently take it all in and don't acknowledge that she's done it. I don't think it's that at all. I think it is completely unconscious, right? Some of it is they genuinely don't know the full scope of what's happening. They see the output, but not the effort. They don't see the work that goes into making that happen. They don't see the labor, right? They see the party. They don't see that 7 a.m. walkthrough where you have your invisible clipboard checking off things that have to be done, right? They know that the kids had the doctor's appointments and everybody had the physicals they needed for school, but they didn't see the 6 mental steps that it took to get there. To make sure that appointment was on a day that they were available and someone was available to drive them. And it was far enough before the deadline so that they weren't delayed from joining practices and, all the things, right? That the insurance company didn't change which primary care physicians are in network this year. So you had to start all over again with new doctors. Not that that's happened to me, not that we've lived through that scenario, but there's so many mental steps that happen and you just can't be grateful for work that you don't know is happening. And I think a lot of us take pride in doing this work well, and we don't ask for credit for a long time, and we don't tell anyone we're doing it. We're just kind of like the fairies in the background getting stuff done. But ultimately, when it goes on for too long and we hit a point where maybe we're tired or things have really built up to a breaking point and it like spills over and then we're in resentment territory, we've waited too long, right? Some portion of the resentment that you might be feeling, and again, I'm saying this gently because I have definitely felt it too, is a resentment that's born out of invisibility. It's not really born out of indifference. It's not like someone's looking at you and saying, I just don't care that you did that. Who cares? It's that they don't even know. They honestly don't even know. And that matters because invisibility is something we can actually do something about. It doesn't mean the feelings aren't valid. They absolutely are. The fatigue is real. The longing to be seen is real, right? The frustration of running a system, a household that was never designed to be run by one person, that's real. I just want you to know that the path forward isn't necessarily another argument, right? Or a harder conversation. Sometimes it's just showing someone your list. So I have a few ideas today. I don't think these are going to solve the whole problem, but I think they might get us a step forward in certain circumstances, and I want to share them. Some of these have helped in my household over the years, and I'd love to see if they help in yours too. Okay. So the first thing that we can do when you are feeling overloaded by this invisible load and unseen, right, and unthanked and unappreciated for it, the first thing you can do is to make it visible. And the first place to make it visible is to yourself, because sometimes we don't even recognize how many things we're taking care of until we get them out of our head. So I want you to just pick one discrete area of your life, just one, right? Not the whole thing because you will get overwhelmed quickly. I promise you will. Just pick one thing. Like maybe it's the kids' schedule for the summer. Maybe it is something about how your household operates. Maybe it is a particular project that you're doing at work, right? Pick the one that feels the most loaded to you right now. Like this is the one that's kind of running through your mind where you can feel that resentment brewing, and write down everything you're currently holding in your head about that one area. Okay. Not your full to-do list. That's a separate exercise and it will take you under right now. So just this one little corner of your life, all the invisible things, kind of the schedule you're running in your head. So if it's the kids and you're thinking about like, these are the things that I have to handle for the kids this summer, right? It is that sports physical that needs to happen before practice starts in August. It's the camp forms and the supplies that they need for camp, especially if they're going to sleepaway camp, right? It's the orthodontist follow-up appointment. It's the fact that one of them is running out of a prescription that needs to be refilled. It's the birthday party gift that they need for next week, right? It's the summer reading list that you're trying to get your head around. So there's a bazillion things just about kids in the summer. You could get all of that down of what you're thinking about, write it down and look at that list. Just take a look at that list. Because what you've done by when you write this down is to make something visible that has been invisible. It's been all up here in your head. And just the act of writing it down or typing it out shows you like, wow, this might be some of why I'm feeling overloaded. This might be some of what is brewing this sense of overwhelm, right? You just take a small part of the system out of your head and you put it somewhere where you can actually see it. In most cases, when I've done this with women in coaching, it produces one of two responses. You either look at it and you laugh because it is almost absurd, right? The number of things that are there, or you feel something closer to relief because you honestly had no idea how much you were holding until you could see it. And both responses mean the same thing. This is real. This is significant. I have not been imagining this. And maybe there's a chance that I could do something about it. Okay. Which brings me to step 2. Before we think about what you're going to do about it, give yourself some credit. Just give yourself the credit that you're wishing other people would give you. Before you try to change anything, before you try to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next with this? Just pause and let yourself acknowledge everything that you've been carrying. And I want to draw a clear line here. I don't think this is the same thing as complaining. I'm not saying complain about it, go on a rant about it. Just honest accounting for what you have been doing. This invisible work is real work. all of that that's in your head that you know needs to be done, and the fact that you're probably also the one who's doing it, takes real energy. It occupies like very real headspace. And most of us have been doing it for so long, and we've been doing it so automatically that we've honestly just like stopped noticing the weight of it. We're just carrying it around. Like, I want you to picture that I handed you a backpack today and it's heavy, right? It's like, I'm going to retract that statement. I hand you an empty backpack. Let's do this. And you put on an empty backpack and you're like, that's fine, right? And every day I just add another something to that backpack, like another rock, right? And just every day one more. You're like, yeah, I got it. I got it. Next day I add another one. Yep, not taking this backpack off. I've got it. Keep adding another one. I've got it. At some point, even though you're still carrying the backpack, and even though you're kind of have a low grade awareness that it's gotten heavier, there's no comparison to what it would feel like if I took that completely full backpack off your back and let you feel the relief. And even to what it would feel like if I put it all back on at once. You'd be like, whoa, this is a lot. But that's not how the invisible load comes on. The invisible load comes on one little task at a time. And we're just carrying it. And I think over time, we become almost like numb to the fact that we're carrying it. We've adjusted. And so we've just stopped noticing how heavy it's gotten. So when you look at that one list that you've made for one area of your life, just that one little area, you can say to yourself, I am doing a lot. This is objectively a lot. I have been doing this largely unseen for a very long time. And I can acknowledge myself before I do anything else. That's it, right? Just simple and small. You can give yourself some credit for what you have been carrying. I think that for a number of years, I really wished my kids would notice. I was like, do they not see all the things that we are doing? Spoiler alert, they do not see. Right? They are children. It is really not their job to see. I think you're really lucky when you get one of them to pick their heads up and go, wow, you have been doing a lot. Thanks. Can I do a piece of this for you? I think I'm ready to do this myself. That's like a miracle. Okay. But in general, for many, many, many years, it's really not their job to see. Okay. Your partner, it's more their job to see. But also when we are so good at carrying it so quietly, so invisibly, things are just getting done around them. It's like, how do we expect them to read our minds to know all of the things we are doing? Okay. And this brings me to this third step. Step 3 is the one that changes everything. And it requires you to get honest with yourself about what you actually want. Because we don't all want the same thing when it comes to the invisible load. There are two very different things that you might be after here, and they require two very different approaches. Okay. Some of us want acknowledgement. We want somebody to say, I see you. I see how much you're doing. I'm really grateful for it. It's allowing me to do these other things because you are handling these. I value it. It's important, right? Like, so you want the person closest, could be somebody on your team if it's a work load, could be somebody in your personal life if it is a personal load. And it is probably, if we're honest, your partner, okay? To recognize the weight of what you've been carrying, to look at that list and say, I see this. I had no idea, right? Thank you. So if what you want or what you need is acknowledgement, then what you're going to do is share that list. You're going to have a conversation where you go, hey, I'm going to share something with you. I just took the time to write down like everything I've been taking care of, planning, plotting, scheduling as it relates to the kids this summer. And I wanted you to look at this list with me. And what is going to come in on the other side of that is they are going to have to acknowledge the sheer number of things that you've been doing. You don't share the list as a complaint, right? You just share it as information. I'm going to let you in. I want you to see what's been living in my head. And that conversation alone can be really cathartic. I have had that conversation. I've had to have it more than once, right? I've had it more than one time. Every time that I have had that conversation, it has resulted in more empathy, more connection, more appreciation. And it's also always sparked for me, I wonder if there's things you are doing that are also invisible to me, right? The division of labor in each of our households is so unique. I mean, we really do find our way to the division of labor, but I know there are things in this house that happen as they relate to, for example, our vehicles that I have no idea are happening. I couldn't tell you they needed to happen. It's just not an area that I've ever chosen to like lean into. My dad teases me because I had a company car for the first 5 years of my professional life. And I mean, I had no idea what that car needed. I had a little magic card that I could take to the car place and they would do whatever needed to be done and it would get billed to the company. And I was so oblivious to what I needed to do to take care of a vehicle. It upsets him to this day. And my husband has handled our vehicles for our whole marriage. So it's not, I know there is an invisible load, right? Connected to doing that work. Whatever the division of labor is in your household, if someone else is managing your finances, right, and the financial health, if somebody else is taking care of all of the outdoor care, if someone else is taking care of all the cooking and meal planning, they may have their own invisible load that you're just not aware of. So this really can be a two-way street. But at a minimum, it is a chance for you to say, hey, I want to show you this. And you're have a much better shot at getting appreciation and gratitude and a little bit of feeling seen by sharing that list. But some of you are going to want something more than acknowledgement. Some of you want relief. Like, hey, this is too much. I am doing too much. I need to put some of this down. I can no longer carry this much invisible cognitive labor, right? That's how I think about this. My term, I used to call it the mental load. We call it the invisible load a lot. I really think of it as cognitive labor, right? There's physical labor, like I'm going to do the damn thing. And there's cognitive labor, which is I'm going to know it has to be done. I'm going to plan it. I'm going to schedule it, et cetera, et cetera. Cognitive labor is real. Okay. So if you want to hand some of that off and you want to share the carrying, then I have one pro tip to give you. And this comes from Eve Rodsky, who wrote the book Fair Play. I had Eve on the podcast a number of years ago. And it is to hand off systems, not tasks. So when you think about my example of taking care of our cars, right, our vehicles, that is a place where I have let go of the entire system. Truly, like selecting the vehicles, maintaining all of the maintenance associated with them, everything from just like the aesthetic care of like, does the car get washed? Does the interior get vacuumed? To repairs, to when do they need to be replaced? Like that entire system around vehicles, registrations, insurance, right? There's a whole long stream of tasks. And handing off a system and not just a task is where the cognitive labor lives. I'm going to say that again. The system, not the task, is where the cognitive labor lives. And I think a lot of us are handing off the task, and it is a starting point. It is a good starting point. It is better than nothing. But when you hand off the whole system, that is where the cognitive labor goes with it. Okay. So Eve Rodsky in Fair Play talks about something like, let's think about kids' medical appointments. It's not just who is physically taking the child to the doctor. It's knowing when the physical is due. It's making the call to schedule the appointment, tracking the paperwork, following up on the results, getting it uploaded to the school portal, right? It's not just, hey, this kid needs to be there at 10 a.m. Can you take them? It's the whole thing. And she calls it conception, planning, and execution. Okay, CPE, conception, planning, and execution. Otherwise, you have a helper, but you're still the one holding the invisible system. Okay, think about this in the context of any of the examples that I was using today around this, like a vertical stream of work that has to happen. Meal planning is a classic one, right? It's not just will you cook? It's, do you know the groceries we have in the house? Do you know the standard inventory? Do you know how to source those things? Do we regularly have them in the house? Do we know what we're having tonight? Is it defrosted? Do we start dinner on time? The whole ecosystem, not just, hey, can you throw this on the grill? Big difference in the relief that lands. Okay. So when you think about the area that you wrote down, if you want relief in that area and not just acknowledgement, what would it mean to hand it off completely? That's the conversation we want to have. Not, can you help me with this, but can you own this? right? Is this something that you can take completely? That shift from helper, like they'll help you with it, to they own it, that's where the real transformation happens. And it starts with showing them the list, because you can't hand off what they can't see. If this is something that you've been doing for a long time and you already have a system in your head, making that system visible, right? Kind of making the invisible visible to them is the first step to being able to hand off the whole thing. They have to see kind of the workflow that is inherent in that system to be able to take it on. So Eve's system, she has this whole like card-based system that you lay out all the cards, and it shows like kind of the typical systems that are involved in running a household. And it shows all of that work, all of the pieces of the puzzle. Now, some of you, I'm confident, are sitting here listening today going, this is an absolute fantasy. I would not be able to get my partner to do one more thing than they do today. And I know this because I hear it every time I have a speaking engagement where I'm kind of with like general population, right? People that are not really deep in my work. They're like hearing it maybe for the first time. First piece of resistance I hear is, I do not have a partner who will do this. There is no one who can take this on. And I think that's where we have to start small. Start with an honest conversation to dimensionalize it, to be really clear. And then we have some hard conversations about how that work is going to get redistributed and what fair looks like in your household, because there's not one standard answer, right? There is not one standard answer. And I think where I'm trying to get in this episode is not that we're going to solve the whole problem. It's to say there might be a piece in your household where they're not being cruel, and it's not purposeful. It is truly like they are clueless. They absolutely are. They just have not figured out that this is happening. They're like living in happy oblivion because we're allowing them to. We're just doing it. We're not talking about it, and we're not saying what we're doing. And I think a lot of us are quietly frustrated because we're like, why are you not seeing what I'm doing? And yet we're still keeping it invisible, right? There's no shared system where they see it. They probably would see it if they could. If we give them the benefit of the doubt, they would see it if they could, and they can't see it when it's invisible. So we're making the invisible list. We're the only one who knows it exists, and we get to decide whether we keep it invisible or whether we finally let someone else see it. And so I think it's the first step toward relief is picking an area, writing it down, giving yourself the credit first, and then getting really honest about what you want. Do I want acknowledgement and I'm going to keep doing it? Do I want relief? Like I'm going to hand this off, or maybe I want both. And getting it out of your head is the first move. Okay. So one more thing before you go. If you listened to this episode and someone came to mind, a friend, a colleague, your sister, right? Someone who you know is quietly carrying so much and maybe not saying it out loud, send them the episode, right? This might be the permission slip that they've been waiting for to take this first step of getting it out of their head so that they can have a conversation about it and see if there is a different way to split the work that needs to be done. That is all for today, my friends. Till next time, let's be brilliant.